When the sky falls, the hidden costs of plane crashes. There's a certain expectation when we step onto a plane. We fasten our seatbelts. We listen to the safety demonstration that we've all memorized but never fully processed. And we settle in for a flight that we assume will be uneventful. And most of the time, it is. But every now and then, the sky betrays that trust. In the past week alone, 2 separate plane crashes have shattered that expectation. One in Washington, D.C., and another in Philadelphia. Both left no survivors, and both raise questions that go beyond the headlines. Because behind every aviation disaster, there's more than the wreckage. There are families left behind scrambling to pick up the pieces. There are insurance companies calculating the payouts. And there are legal battles that stretch on for years. And as a life insurance agent, I see what happens in the aftermath, the financial ripples that no one thinks about until tragedy strikes. So let's start with the facts. In Washington, D.C., on January 29th, 2025, an American Eagle flight operated by PSA Airlines was on its final approach to Reagan National Airport when it collided midair with a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter. The impact sent both aircraft spiraling into the Potomac River, and there were no survivors. In Philadelphia, on January 31st, 2025, a Learjet 55, operating as a medical transport, crashed shortly after takeoff. On board, a critically ill child, her mother, 2 medical personnel, and 2 pilots. The aircraft burst into flames upon impact, and 6 lives were lost in the instant. 2 different crashes, 2 different cases, but the same grim reality. Families waking up to phone calls that would change their lives forever. When a plane goes down, the real turbulence begins for the people that were left behind. Most of us assume that life insurance will cover any unexpected death, but aviation incidents come with their own set of complications. Let's break it down. For commercial flights, if you're a passenger on a major airline, your life insurance policy will almost always pay out, assuming that there are no exclusions. The airline itself also carries liability insurance, which means families may receive additional compensation. Private and charter jets, this is where things get tricky. Many policies exclude non-commercial aviation deaths unless the insured had specific coverage. If you're on a medical transport jet, for example, the insurance company may try to argue that it falls under a different category, and trust me, they will. And then we have the snafu of delayed payouts. Even when policies do cover aviation deaths, payouts can be delayed for months or even years due to lengthy investigations. If a lawsuit is involved, it could take even longer. For the families aboard Flight 5342 and the Learjet in Philly, the life insurance isn't just about grieving, it's about survival. It's about covering funeral costs, lost income, and unexpected legal fees. And if they didn't have policies in the first place, they're left fighting an uphill battle with airlines and insurance companies that, let's be honest, are in no rush to cut checks. So, who pays the price? Every plane crash triggers a web of financial and legal maneuvering that most people never see. We have the first arm of airline liability insurance. Commercial airlines carry massive insurance policies to cover passenger deaths, but that doesn't mean that they necessarily pay out easily. If the airline is found at fault, settlements can reach into the millions per victim. But there's a government entity involved in the DC plane crash. It becomes a lot murkier. Then we have lawsuits and compensation battles. Families may sue for wrongful death, but these cases drag on for years and years and years. Airlines have legal teams whose whole sole purpose is to minimize payouts. Then we have medical transport complexities. The Philadelphia crash raises another issue. Who's responsible when a medical jet crashes? The hospital? The jet operator? The insurance company? Expect finger pointing before anybody writes a check. While families grieve, insurers, lawyers, and corporations are, like vultures calculating the cost. And then that brings us to the lessons that we ignore. Every crash reminds us of a painful truth. Flying is still one of the safest forms of travel until it isn't. And when it isn't, the fallout extends far beyond the wreckage. For passengers, the lesson is clear. Know your life insurance policy. If you travel frequently, especially on private or charter jets, please read the fine print. And please make sure that your family won't be left fighting battles that they shouldn't have to fight. For airlines and insurance companies, the lesson is far more uncomfortable. Every crash is a test of how much more a human life is worth on paper. And the answer is rarely what the families deserve. And I guess that takes us to the final boarding call. Most of us will never experience a plane crash firsthand, but every time a tragedy like this happens, it serves as a reminder that the systems that we rely on don't always work out in our favor. For those who lost their lives last week, there are no second chances. But for the rest of us, still boarding flights, still trusting that the sky won't betray us, the least we can do is be prepared for the turbulence that no one sees coming. The names were Sarah Lee Best, she was 33, Brielle Breyer, only 12, and Justina Breyer, 42. Jonathan J. Campos, 34. Chris Collins, 42. Kia Duggins, 30. Andrew Eves, 39. Denasia Elder, 34. Ian Epstein, 53. Gina Han, 13. And Jin Han, 49. Asra Hussein, 26. Sean K, 11. And Julia K, 42. Liz Keys, 33. Alexander Sasha Kirsanov, 46. Spencer Lane, 16. And Christine Conrad Lane, 49. Sam Lilly, 28. Lydia Livingston, 11. And Everly Livingston, 14. Donna Livingston, 48. And Peter Livingston, 48. Pergino and Mablad, age is not determined. Ryan O'Hara, 28. Jesse Pincher, 30. Lori Schrock, 56, and Robert Bob Schrock, 58. Wendy Jo Schaefer, 35. Evgenia Shivkova, 52. And Vadim Nuomov, 55. And Mikey Stovall, 40. The things we leave behind. There's something I noticed, a really heartbreaking detail while researching these crashes. It's that so many of the victims, they didn't have publicly available photos. No clear memories preserved. Just a name on a news ticker. And it made me think, how many of us have had a recent professional photo of ourselves taken? Not a blurry group shot, not a random selfie, not a fire-ass shot at a gas station, but an image that truly captures who we are. For families dealing with loss, a single photograph can be priceless. A life insurance policy can mean the difference between stability and struggle. And in some cases, a bail bond could be the only thing standing between a loved one and their freedom. We don't get to choose when tragedy strikes, but we do get to choose how prepared we are. This isn't just about money. This is about a legacy. A photograph keeps you alive in people's hearts. A policy protects the people you love. And a bond can bring home someone when the system tries to take them away. Don't wait until it's too late. Secure your legacy, protect your family, and make sure, if the worst happens, that they have something more than just memories.